Joining us this evening, I'm Rochelle Murcia.
And I'm Jeff Platt.
Friday, at the stroke of midnight, California lawmakers will be out of time for the year.
That's right. Meanwhile, hundreds of bills still need to be voted on. Some of them you'll never even hear about.
And some lawmakers are calling it a public process abused to cut out the public.
And tonight, I investigate California's budget process and how empty bills and broken rules are keeping you in the dark. These people make almost every major decision in California, including creating the state budget, a process Assemblyman Vince Fong says is broken.
The public is in the dark, and the budget process and the lack of transparency in the process, the groups up here want it that way. At every stage, the public is kept out.
So what are those stages voters are being left out of? In California, if a bill starts in the Assembly votes on it once, then sends it to a committee, who sends it back to the Assembly, which votes on it 2 more times. If they vote yes, the same process happens in the Senate. If the bill is changed at all, it goes back to the Assembly to see if they agree with the changes. If they do, the bill goes to the governor's desk. In his first term, Fong discovered some bills weren't really going through this process. They're called budget trailer bills.
Empty bills, literally 2 lines.
Here's one of those bills. It says it is the intent of the legislature to enact statutory changes relating to the Budget Act of 2018. That's it. We found 57 of these empty bills just from this session, all of them just 1 page each. But more than halfway through the process, these same bills became almost 3,000 pages of legislation. For months, these bills are empty as they snake their way through the process until their Senate committee hearing. Then they're filled up with language, and 3 days later, they can go through the rest of the process in as little as 24 hours. So the big question is, why are so many steps being fast-tracked in the process of these bills? We came here to the state capitol to ask that very question.
It's there to see if people want to see it.
Specifically, I asked Assembly Majority Leader Ian Calderon.
The more time now that you have to have a bill be out there, well, if there's opposition to the bill, well, they have that much more time to work it to try to pull votes away.
Calderon defends the process, saying the issues in these bills are negotiated for months and all the discussions are open to the public, although most of California's 40 million citizens are never here to watch.
And so to say that that's not a transparent process, that's the budgetary process, and it was transparent because you've had months to make a decision on these issues.
Calderon says months, but most of these bills are only full for 3 days before going to the governor. Speeding up that process requires lawmakers to ignore the rules created to increase transparency.
You know, the process is set up to allow us to waive rules when we need to waive rules so that we can get business done.
Aye.
As lawmakers scramble to finish business by their Friday deadline, this process will likely happen again. And while members like Fong say,
Stop, take a step back, and look at the budget process and see, is it working?
Others like Calderon are willing to stick with the status quo.
Everybody recognizes that perfect is subjective, but it's perfect is different to different people. But yeah, I think it is a transparent process.
Now, to combat what Fong says is an abuse of the system, he's recommending the entire budget, down to the penny, be posted online before it's voted on. However, with that looming deadline, that proposal will have to wait until next year.